respect for your will and your ability and your future, the things you will go on to do and learn, it has been decided that you should be offered a final chance to end this ill-fated journey into places you never, ever meant to go. There is one thing left, one thing that has been kept from you, without which nothing else will make the slightest bit of sense. You have seen far too much, far too quickly, for your mind to comprehend. With this final piece, it will all make sense. She had no idea who it was that was speaking in such an unnatural voice, such a wrestled from her like a dry leaf on a mighty spring flood. Looking upon the thing, the final part of it all, she felt a series of immeasurable pains, as she felt like her whole nervous system was being ripped out of her body, slowly and quickly, all at once. She tried to move, and felt dimly that she was falling, and the last light of knowledge was fading. Her eyes, by Celestia, her eyes! Her mind, her magic, her eyes! As she understood, as comprehension filled every fiber of her being, she knew why no pony had ever discovered this before, and why no pony might ever discover it again. It was too great, too hideously powerful. It was a searing, scorching blue sun, and she was a pebble in its path. As she fell, through the mind-numbing pain, her delirious thoughts wandered to Equestria, to her friends, to the princess, and in a moment of calm, in the roaring storm of insight, she felt her love for all of them, and sadness at having let them down. All the same, she was Twilight Sparkle, and the truth of the matter was this: no matter what happened from now on, no matter the price she had to pay, it could not have happened any other way. While indeed she regretted everything, at the same time, she could not, in truth, bring herself to regret a single step of her journey. The setting sun was shining in through the open window, illuminating the clean yet impersonal room in the Ponyville Hospital's long-term ward. Despite the inherently impersonal nature of the room, the dusk-time light shone upon and brought into view several mementos of affection and care for the pony that seemed to inhabit it: a cluster of balloons, a flowers and butterflies print get-well card, and several books. In a chair by the bed, taking a small break from reading to the purple pony that lay in the bed, sat a cyan pony with a rainbow-colored mane and tail, looking at her friend. Several months had passed since Spike had come running into the streets of Ponyville, shouting at the top of his admittedly diminutive lungs that something had gone horribly wrong with Twilight. They had only just managed to save her life. She had lost a lot of blood, and she had succumbed to a massive fever, prompting Princess Celestia herself to make a trip from Canterlot in order to save her. She had spent hours beyond count in the emergency room with Twilight, while her friends had sat in anxiety and fear in the waiting room, trying to stay strong together in the face of an uncertain future. The princess had looked grim when she came out of their friend's room, announcing that she was going to be okay, to a point. As far as the princess could tell, the purple mare had done something unspeakably reckless and entirely irrevocable. Something that had cost Twilight her memories, her mind as it had been, her sight, and her magic, all in one fell swoop. They might return someday, but Celestia had to confess she doubted very much whether her dearest and most faithful student would ever be anything other than a shadow of her former self again. Heaving a heavy sigh, Rainbow looked at her friend's face, clean white bandages covering the disquieting sight beneath. Truth be told, she was glad whenever she didn't have to see those vacant white eyes she knew were just beneath those bandages. Twilight didn't seem to mind whether she had the covers on or not, more than she minded just about anything else. So far, they had found only one thing that seemed to elicit any kind of reaction from her, being read to. And so they took turns in reading to her, a couple hours every day, whenever they could, from whatever seemed good to them. Rainbow had read to her a lot, feeling obliged to do so, as it was Twilight that had opened up Rainbow to the pleasures of literature. And while she usually read from one of her adventure book series, taking in the new exploits of one of her many literary heroes and enjoying the soothing feeling of being able to share something at all with one of her best friends in the world, she had discovered that a particular book, stumbled upon mostly by chance, brought the most content smile to the purple mare's face. The diaries of her second most admired hero, Starswirl the Bearded. And so, after ascending the familiar plains to a point far, far above, which the most ancient of tomes call the Ante-Umbra, I opened my true eyes for the first time, and I saw the world anew, and I felt whole once more, having discovered a part of myself I never knew was lacking. And in an instant I knew what I was meant to do, and who I was meant to be. And I knew peace.